Good morning to all of you. Today we are going to discuss GATE previous year question, hydraulic gradient line, total energy line and compound pipes. So now we are going to talk about the hydraulic gradient line. This is hydraulic gradient line. So in short form we call it as this one. In short form we call it this is HGL. So in short form we call it as this one is HGL. So what do you mean by this hydraulic gradient line? So hydraulic gradient line can be defined as it is an imaginary line. Okay. So it is an imaginary line. It is an imaginary line joining. It is an imaginary line joining the points. So joining the points of piezometric heads, joining the points of the piezometric heads at various section of the pipe. Okay, so we can better understand it by, suppose this is one by reservoir. So this is one by reservoir. So suppose this reservoir is connected by a pipe to another reservoir. Okay, to another reservoir. Okay, now suppose this is the free surface of the reservoir 1. Okay, now suppose this is the suppose this one the free surface of the reservoir 2. Okay, now suppose in between you choose the location, you choose the section, various section along the pipe, and if you insert the piezometer, at various location of the pipe, I am inserting the piezometer at various location of the pipe. Now the water will rises to certain height. Okay, so water will rises to certain height. So suppose this is the height, so water is rises. Okay, and this is the water rises in the first piezometer, and this is the water rises in second piezometer, and this is the water rises in third piezometer. Now you join all these points, whatever the heads you are getting, the piezometric heads, you join all these points and you join the free surface of the both the reservoir, Now I am joining all these points. Okay, if you are joining all these points, this line is called as hydraulic gradient line. Okay, so hydraulic gradient line is the locus of all the points, of various piezometric head at various section of the pipe. Okay, so hydraulic gradient line in mathematics, suppose this is my datum head. Okay, suppose this is my datum. So this is my datum line. Suppose the at this location, suppose this is location 3, this is location 4, and this is location 5. And the piezometer generally it measures the static pressure in a fluid. Suppose this one this is P3 by rho g. This height is P3 by rho g, and the elevation at this point number 3, suppose this one is Z3. Okay, now what is piezometric head? So this piezometric head, the piezometric head will be equal to this pressure head plus this one is datum head. So this is called piezometric head. Okay, so if you add the pressure head at various location and datum head at the various location, if you find out the point and you finally join all these points and draw a line, that line is called as hydraulic gradient line. Okay, and hydraulic gradient here is what? This hydraulic gradient line is the nature of the hydraulic gradient in falling in nature. It generally it falls in the direction of the flow, but it is not the case in all other cases. If the pipe diameter is varying, suppose this is my case 1, I am writing this one is case 1, and in this case what? In this case the pipe diameter, so the pipe diameter is constant, or this is uniform. Okay, the pipe diameter is uniform, it is not changing. So in this case So in this case, the hydraulic gradient line falls in the direction of flow. Okay, actually it falls in the direction of the flow, because the piezometric head, or it is, the points are called as this hydraulic gradient line, and this is the points of the pressure head plus datum head. Okay, now suppose here this datum head is constant, datum head suppose is constant, but pressure at various location is not changing. Suppose here you say this is the piezometric, the pressure, static pressure at this point you are getting, this is P3 by rho g, and this is suppose P4 by rho g. Okay, this is P5 rho g. But what will happen if the diameter of the pipe is not uniform? If it is non-uniform diameter of pipe, what will happen there? Now you will see that one. So now case 2, in the case 2, the pipe diameter is not constant. It not constant means it is non-uniform. Okay, so it is not, means it is, the pipe diameter are changing at certain section of the pipe. So suppose this is my figure. Suppose this is the pipe, this is the reservoir 1, this is reservoir 1, and this is connected with a pipe. Okay, now after suppose certain section, the pipe diameter is changing. Okay, the pipe diameter is changing, and it is moving up to certain length, again it is increasing, again the pipe diameter is increasing. Okay, the pipe diameter is, now suppose this is connected to another reservoir. Suppose now it is connected to another reservoir. Now this is the level free surface of the reservoir 1. Okay, now suppose this is the free surface of the reservoir 2. Okay, so now suppose this is the pipe 1, this is pipe 2, and this is pipe 3. Okay, what will happen? And here the pipe length is L1, this is D1, and this is L2, and this is D2, and this is L3, and this one is D3. Now you see the cross sectional area of this one is A1, and this one is A2, and this one is A3. Now at section 2, the cross sectional area of section 2 is less than cross sectional area of the 1. Okay, so what will happen? The velocity at section 2 will be more than velocity at section 1. As the cross sectional area will be decreasing, the velocity of flow will be increases based upon the continuity equation. Same mass has to be flow within narrow area, so it should be, the velocity should be high, so that all mass will be moved at a time. So the velocity at section 2 will be more than velocity at section 1. So what will happen? Pressure at point 2 will be less than pressure at point 1. According to the Bernoulli equation, to contain the same amount of energy, if the kinetic energy will be increases, then pressure energy to be decreased to contain the same amount of energy. So if the pressure energy is here decreasing, so what will happen? The hydraulic gradient line is like, if you insert the piezometers at various locations, what will happen? It is this is falling in nature, but when it is will reach to this point 2, what will happen? Here suddenly velocity is increasing, but there is a sudden pressure will decrease. At the velocity suddenly increasing, so there is a drop in pressure. There is a drop in pressure. So what will happen? This pressure head will decrease. So again it will continue. Again the velocity at this point 3, the velocity at point 3 is greater than velocity at section 2. So what will be pressure at velocity at point 3, velocity at section 3 is less than velocity at section 2. Why? The area at section 3 will be more than area at section 2. So what will happen? The pressure at section 3 will be more than pressure at section 2. So what will happen? There is sudden rise in this hydraulic gradient line, and finally it will join. So this is called my hydraulic gradient line when the pipe diameter is not uniform. So this is my called hydraulic gradient line. So you can conclude one point then. One point is that this hydraulic gradient line may fall or rise, depending on changes in pipe diameter. So pipe diameter. So this hydraulic gradient, how we can find out? This hydraulic gradient line points we can find out by finding out the piezometric head. This is piezometric head. This is hydraulic gradient line formula by which you can find out the piezometric heads. Okay. Now, what if you talk about the total energy line? So total energy line, if you talk about the total energy line. So this is total energy line. So this total energy line always include the losses in the pipe flow. It includes the losses in the pipe flow. Okay. So it represents, we can write down this one. So it represents the losses in pipe flow. So it represents the losses in pipe flow. So how we can find out the total energy line? So total energy line we can find out will be equal to hydraulic gradient line plus a ordinate of kinetic head. Ordinate of kinetic. So what is this hydraulic gradient line? This is P by rho g plus this one is Z plus this is V square by 2g. Means total energy line means total energy at particular section. We are finding total energy at particular section. If you already find out the hydraulic gradient line at that section, you just add the velocity kinetic head ordinate at that section. You can find out the total energy line. Okay. So now if you draw this one, so suppose this is my reservoir. So this is my reservoir, and this is here. What will happen? The pipe diameter is like that. Now suppose it is reducing, again it is reducing, again it is increasing after a certain length, again it is increasing like this. Okay, now it is connected to another reservoir. Okay, now suppose this one is my free surface of the reservoir 1, and suppose this is my free surface of the reservoir 2. Now what will happen? I already draw the hydraulic gradient line. So hydraulic gradient line you can draw. So hydraulic gradient line will be, so this is the line that will have falling, and what will happen here? The velocity of flow is increasing, so pressure will suddenly it will drop. Again it will go, so here velocity will decreases, so pressure will increases. Pressure head will decrease. So finally this is my HGL. So this is my hydraulic gradient line. Now if you draw the total energy line, okay, total energy line means what? This is always you add the velocity head. Suppose the water is flowing at this location, so to element the velocity head you have to add at this location. Okay, so total energy line is always falls in the direction of the flow because it always included the losses in the pipe flow. What are the losses? Major losses, minor losses. Major losses and frictional losses, the losses due to sudden obstruction, losses due to this sudden expansion. So all the losses if it is includes. So it is always falls in the direction of the flow. But hydraulic gradient line, it may rise or may fall. I think got the point. So if you draw the total energy line, so if you add all these point, this magnitude will be how much? This is V square by 2g. So this, if you add the V square by 2g, you get all these points and you join. Okay, at various section of the pipe, you find out the velocity head at that section and you add the kinetic head at that section. Okay, so so what will happen? This is fall in nature and there will be sudden drop. Why this sudden drop? Because this loss is due to the frictional loss. Suppose this is pipe number 1, this is pipe number 2, and this is pipe number 3. So this is the head loss due to friction in pipe number 1. This is the loss. Okay. Now this loss is due to what? This loss is due to entrance loss. This loss is sudden contraction loss. Okay. Sudden contraction loss is how much? This one will equal 0.5 V2 square by 2g. This loss. Again it will fall in the direction of the flow, and here will it is suddenly the pipe diameter suddenly expand. Okay, sudden expansion of the pipe. Again it will fall. Okay, again it will join. Finally it will means this is how much? This will be V2 minus V3 whole square by 2g. Okay, means total energy line always falls in the direction of the flow. Okay, that is I am trying to say. So you write down this one is this total energy line will always fall in the direction of flow, as it takes care of losses. Underline this losses word, losses, and the always it takes care of losses, and we know always the fluid flow from the higher energy to lower energy, and the fluid always flow from the high total head to low total head. Okay, so this total energy line will always fall in the direction of the flow, as it takes into account the losses in the pipe flow, and the fluid always flow from the higher energy, this higher total head to lower total head. Okay, so this is my actually total energy line, and total energy line formula you have to remember. This is total energy line will be equal to, this is hydraulic gradient line plus this is V square by 2G. This is total energy line. So you find out the hydraulic gradient at various sections, find out the kinetic head, and find out the TL at that point, and join all these points. So therefore this is the point, and join this point. This is called total energy line. Okay. So now you can say one point that in case, but this total energy line may be rise, it is always fall, but it can also rise when there is a external sources are attached to this reservoir. Suppose there is some pump we are attaching, pump or turbine we are attaching. Okay, so at that, when we are attach any pump, what will happen? The total energy line will rise at that case. So up to when there is no external sources are connected to any pipe or reservoir, the total energy line always falls in the direction of the flow. When you attach any this pump, hydraulic machine, hydraulic turbines, then what will happen? Due to the external energy it is supplying to the movement of the water, so total energy line will be rises. Okay, that is my objective. Now the compound pipe. I am talking about this is compound pipe. So compound pipe means what? The pipe which have different diameters. Okay, so more than one pipe of different diameter are connected. That is called, that the setup is called as compound pipe. Okay, so there are two type of pipes are connected. One is pipe in series. Okay, this is pipe in series. Okay, and second one is pipe in parallel. Okay, so compound pipe means when different length, different diameter, different numbers of pipe are actually connected. Okay, that setup is called as compound pipe, and there is different way of we can connect this pipe. By using series we can connect the pipe, and by parallel. Okay, so now we have to find out on the relationship between this compound pipe and equivalent pipe. What do you mean by equivalent pipe? So equivalent pipe. So in equivalent pipe, okay, this is a single pipe. Okay, the single pipe of certain length and diameter, in which the discharge and head loss, okay, discharge and head loss will be same as that of the compound pipe. Okay, so equivalent pipe is that pipe in which the discharge and head loss is same as that of the compound pipe. Okay, that is called equivalent pipe. Now we are talking about the pipe in series. So pipe in series. So pipe in series means, suppose this is one reservoir. So this is one reservoir. and suppose this is the pipe in series, suppose this is, and this is another pipe is connected, and this is another pipe is connected, okay, and this is the final reservoir. Okay, suppose this is the free surface of the reservoir 1, and this is the free surface of the reservoir 2, and suppose this suppose this one is, so this one is first pipe, second pipe, this one is third pipe, and suppose this one has a length of suppose this is length of L1, diameter D1, and friction factor of F1, and this is length L2, this is D2, and friction factor F2, this is L3, this is D3, and friction factor F3. Okay, and discharge is constant, because discharge will be in all the pipe will be same. So I can write down the two equation. So discharge Q will be out of the discharge is flowing, the discharge will be equal to Q1, will be equal to Q2, will be equal to Q3. So same flow rate is same flow rate is flowing in all the pipes. Okay, Q1 will be Q2 will be Q1 will be Q2 will be equal to Q3. But the friction loss, the head loss due to friction, will be equal to the head loss due to friction in first pipe plus the head loss due to friction in second pipe plus head loss due to friction in third pipe. These are my two compatibility equation in series, pipe in series condition. Now what is my pipe? So this is my pipe. Okay, this is my another pipe. So this is diameter D1. Again, this one is. So this is first, this is second, and this one is third. This has a length of L1, D1, and F1 is the friction factor, L2, D2, and F2 is the friction factor, L3, D3, and F3 is the friction factor. Now we have to find out the length and diameter of an equivalent pipe. Now I have to find out the length and diameter of an equivalent pipe which has same discharge and same frictional loss, which has same discharge and same head loss as that of this compound pipe. Okay, so how can you find out? By using this compatibility equation we can find out. Okay, so better you write out this equivalent pipe definition. So equivalent pipe A is a single pipe. It is a single pipe. It is a single pipe. I am writing the equivalent pipe. So this is equivalent pipe. The definition of the equivalent pipe: a single pipe of certain length. So this is a single pipe of certain length. This is LE, and the dia LE and dia is, suppose this one is DE, equivalent pipe diameter represented by DE, a length of the equivalent pipe represented as LE, which has same discharge. So same discharge and same discharge and head loss. Okay, same discharge and head loss, same as that of a given system of pipe, that is called as equivalent pipe. Okay, now we have to find out a relationship between this LE, DE and this L1, D1, F1. What should be the relation? Now this is my case. Suppose this is my compound pipe. Okay, this is my compound pipe, and this is like this. Okay, this is like this. And this is the first one, second pipe, this is third pipe. Length of this is L1, this is D1, this is F1. This is length L2, this is D2, and this friction factor F2, and this is L3, this is D3 and F3. Now we have to design a equivalent pipe. So we have to design a equivalent pipe. So whose diameter will be DE and the length will be, this one is LE. Okay, so what we have to do? you have to derive the relationship between this equivalent pipe and this compound pipe. What is the relationship? Okay, now we have already know the compatibility equation. This Q will be equal to Q1 will be equal to Q2 will be equal to Q3, and second one, head loss in this all compound pipe HFE will be equal to, this is HF1, so plus this is HF2 plus suppose this is HF3. Okay, now this we know the head loss due to friction will be equal to FL V square by this one is 2G into D. So you can also write down this equation in the form of discharge. So FL, this Q square divided by this is 12.1, this is D to the power 5. Okay, so if you find out the HFE, then we can put this FE and LE, and this is Q. Okay, so I can write down, suppose this is my equation 1, this is equation 2, and suppose this is equation 3. So I can write down equation 2, HFE will be equal to HF1 plus this is head loss due to friction in second pipe, head loss due to friction in third pipe. So HFE can write down I can write down FE LE into QV square divided by 12.1 into D to the square 5. Then this one again F1 L1, this is Q1 square divided by 12.1, this is D1 to the power 5, plus this is F2 L2, this is Q2 square divided by this is 12.1, this is D to the power 5, plus this can also F3 L3 Q3 square divided by 12.1, and this is D3 to the power 5. Now we already know this QE will be equal to this Q1 will be equal to this Q2 will be equal to Q3. Q is the discharge in this equivalent pipe. So discharge in equivalent pipe. Okay, discharge will be same all this pipe, and this FE also if you take same friction factor in equivalent pipe. So this is the friction factor in equivalent pipe, and this is will be F1 will be equal to F2 will be equal to F3. Okay, now if you put, then this will be cancelled with each other. Okay, so this Q gone and this is gone. Okay, and this F3 F2 F1, so 12.1 also gone, this is 12.1, so 12.1 is also cancelled. So final expression is coming out to LE divided by this is DE to the power 5 equal to L1 plus D1 to the power 5 plus this is L2 plus by D2 to the power 5 plus this is L3 divided by D3 to the power 5. So this is the relationship between this equivalent pipe and this compound pipe, or this is pipe in series. Okay, so now if you write down this one again, okay, write down this one again. So there are the final equation is LE to the power DE to the power 5 will be equal to this is L1 equal to D1 to the power 5 plus this is L2, this is D to the power 5 plus this one is L3 divided by D3 to the power 5. So this is the relationship in between this compound, and in which there is two unknown are there. So what is the unknown quantities? Unknown quantities will be this is LE and this is DE. This L1 L2 will be given to you. Okay, L1 L2 will be given to you. So we can assume first one, we can assume if the length of equivalent pipe, okay, is equal to, so is equal to total length of pipe in series means I am saying, so whatever the pipe in series, okay, so this is the pipe in series, okay, again this one is okay. Now this is the equivalent pipe. Okay, so this is L1, this is L2, and this is L3, and the length of equivalent pipe is LE. So I am telling, so the total length will be equal to LE will be equal, this will be equal to L1 plus L2 plus L3. Okay, this is the length of the equivalent pipe. You can assume this one, this can be known to you. Only the unknown parameter will be equivalent diameter. So you can find out this one. Okay, and second thing, it can also be possible if equivalent diameter is given. Okay, so if equivalent diameter, this DE equivalent diameter is given, then the length of the equivalent pipe can be found out. So in numerical, any one of the value is given to you. If it is not mentioned in the problem, then the equivalent length you can find out but by adding the individual pipe length. You just add the individual pipe length and find out the equivalent length of the pipe and use the formula, find out the equivalent diameter of the pipe. If equivalent diameter of the pipe will be given to you, then you find out the equivalent length of the pipe. Okay, this is all about the pipe in series. Now you are going to talk about the parallel pipe. So now second one is pipes in parallel. So this is pipes in parallel. So pipes in parallel means, suppose this is one pipe, okay, this is another pipe like this. So this is my pipe in which there is a obstruction. So there is a obstruction to this one. This is obstruction to this one, and this is also obstruction. So what will happen? This is my first pipe, this is second, and this is pipe. Suppose this is my main pipe. Suppose this is Q is going. So now this Q is distributed to, this is Q1, this is Q2, and this is Q3. Okay, and finally it is going to Q. The parallel pipe means the discharge is now divided into different section of the pipe. So now if you write out the compatibility equation, so now suppose this one is head loss, in this one is HF1, and head loss in this zone is HF2. This is also similar to pipe. If this is HF3. Okay. Now if you write out the compatibility equation, the Q will be equal to Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3, and the again will be the head loss in all the parallel pipe will be same. HF1 will be equal to HF2 will be equal to HF3. Head loss in all the pipes are same. By knowing this compatibility equation only you can derive the relationship. Okay. Now you have to draw the equivalent pipe. Now this is my equivalent pipe. Okay, this is my equivalent pipe of, this is length is LE and the diameter is D. Okay. Now equivalent pipe, what is the definition? What is the definition of the equivalent pipe? Now equivalent pipe is the pipe. So equivalent pipe is the pipe which has same discharge and head loss due to friction, which is same discharge and head loss as that of the compound pipe. That is called as, this one is called as, suppose what the discharge is flowing QE, that discharge will be equal to the compound pipe discharge, and whatever the head loss will be there, that will also be similar, same to this one. So this will be also same to equivalent pipe head loss. Okay. Now if you find out the relationship, D, okay, and the discharge is flowing Q. Now if you use the compatibility equation will be equal to, this QE will be equal to this Q1 plus this is Q2 plus this one is Q3. Again second compound, the head loss due to friction in compound pipe will be equal to head loss in section 1 pipe, head loss in second pipe will be equal to head loss in third pipe. Okay. Now if you use head loss will be equal to FEL QE square divided by this one is 12.1 DE to the power 5. So this one will be F1, this is LE. So this is L1 So this is q1 square divided by this is 12.1. So this is d1 to the power 5, and this is f2 L2, and this is q2 square divided by 12.1 d to the power 5 will be equal to f3 L3 q3 square divided by 12.1 d3 to the power 5. So from here you can calculate QE. So if you find out this QE, okay, so this is the what? This is QE will be equal to, so this HFB will be equal to how much? HFB will be equal to this FE LE QE square divided by 12.1 DE to the power 5. So from here if you calculate this QE, that is coming out to be, this is 12.1, so DE to the power 5 into this is HFE, okay, divided by this one is coming FE into this LE the square root. This is coming. Similarly Q1 also you can find out, okay, this is Q2, and similarly Q3 you can find out. Now if I put all this value, okay, if I put all this value, so the equation will be QE will be equal to, this is Q1 plus this is Q2 plus this one is Q3, and this head loss due to friction will be equal to FL Q square divided by 12.1 D to the power 5. And from here this Q if you find out, that is coming out with 12.1 D to the power 5 into this is head loss due to friction divided by F into L, this is into half square. So now if you put this one, this is coming out 12.1, and this is coming out to be D E to the power 5, and this head loss of equivalent pipe divided by friction factor of equivalent pipe into length of the equivalent pipe to the power, this is half, will be equal to, this is 12.1 D1 to the power 5 head loss due to friction 1 in first pipe, friction factor of pipe 1 into this is L1 to the power, this is 1 by 2. Similarly you can find out this is 12.1 D to the power 5 to HF2 divided by F2 into L2, this is to the power half, plus this is 12.1 D3 to the power 5 HF3 divided by this is F3 into L3 to the power, this one is half. Okay, now suppose this head loss, I told you the head loss due to friction equivalent pipe will be equal, this is another compatibility equation, HF1 will be equal to HF2 will be equal to HF3. Okay, these head loss are cancelled to each other. Okay, now if you find out the final equation, so the head loss and this 12.1 gone, head loss 12.1, head loss 12.1, this head loss 12.1, and the friction factor, if the friction factor are also same, friction factor also are same, friction factor in equivalent pipe will be equal to friction factor in first pipe, friction factor in second pipe, and friction factor in third pipe. Okay, if you put these are to be same, okay, put these are to be same, so that is coming out to be DE to the power 5 by LE will be equal to, this is D1 to the power 5, this is by L1, plus this is D to the power 5, this one by L2, plus this one is D3 to the power 5, this one by L3. So this is the relationship. Okay, and this there is a square root is there. Suppose that this is the square root is there. Okay. So this is square root is there. Okay, the square root is there. So this is the square root. So this is the relationship between this compound pipe and the equivalent pipe. If I write down the equation again, so if I write down the equation again, so this is coming out to be, so DE to the power 5 divided by LE to the power half will be equal to, this is D1 divided by this L1 to the power 5 to the power half, plus this is D2 to the power 5 divided by this L2 to the power half, plus this is D3 to the power 5 divided by this L3 to the power, this one is half. Okay, so now if the diameter of the all these pipes are same, suppose I can say D1 will be equal to D2 will be equal to D3 will be equal to T. So if you write down this one, so this again this length LE will be equal to this L1 will be equal to this L2, and this will be equal to L3. So then the final equation is coming out to be, so dE5 to the power half will be equal to, so this all length are cancel each other. So now this will coming out to be n, so number of pipe parameter n, so n into d to the power 5 to the power half. Suppose n pipes are there. Okay, so now the equivalent pipe, so the diameter of these ones, the single pipe diameter, so we can have this dE will be equal to, so this is n to the power 2 by 5 will be equal to d, or that single pipe diameter will be equal to the equivalent pipe diameter divided by n to the power 2 by 5. So this is the relationship between the diameter of a single pipe and diameter of a equivalent pipe. So this is all about the compound pipes. Okay, now we are going to solve some GATE previous year question. So this is the problem. The cross section of an object is given to you and is submerged in a fluid, and this consists of a sphere of size 2 meter. So we have to find out the position, the value of x, okay, so that the object to be kept in position, so the object will remain in equilibrium condition. Now if you see from this one, so this one is the free surface of this one, so these are the boundary part, okay, which is giving rise to a force to this in this direction. Suppose this one is F1. Similar here also a force will act in horizontal direction. Suppose this is F2, and the weight of the fluid exerting a force in this weight part, suppose this one is F3. And similarly in this one also a buoyancy or this upward thrust will act, this one is F4. Okay, so what will happen? The net moment about this point P will be equal to 0. So net moment about this point will be equal to 0. Now suppose this is my positive x, suppose this is my positive x and this is positive y. So I can write down the equilibrium equation, thus F1 this minus F2 will be equal to 0. So this F1 will be equal to F2. So where it will act? So if you draw the pressure distribution curve, so this is the pressure distribution curve. Where is it? So this is at the centroid of the pressure distribution curve, that is called center of pressure. So this is 2s by 3. So this is 2 into 2 by 3. So this is coming out to be 4 by 3 meter. Similarly, if you see the center of pressure of this force, so suppose this one is the center of pressure of this force. Of this one I am representing this one is y star. Okay, suppose this y star. Suppose I am choosing this angle as theta. Okay, the pressure acting on this point is how it is acting. This is the pressure distribution one. So this is perpendicular to this one. Okay. Now this one, the center of pressure will be equal to, this sine theta will be equal to, this is 2 meter given to you. This is 2 meter. So I can find out this inclined distance. Suppose this inclined distance is, suppose this one the inclined distance is y. So I can sine theta will be equal to 2 by y. So I can find out this sine theta will be equal to 2 by y. So this y will be equal to 2 by sine theta. And the center of pressure will act as the centroid of the pressure distribution curve. So centroid of the pressure distribution curve is how much? This is 2y by 3. So this distance, where the center with this distance, so this distance is nothing but this is called 2y by 3. So this is 2y by 3. So this is 2y by 3. So this central pressure is how much? This is 2y by 3. So this is coming out to be 4 by 3 sine theta. Okay, we are getting this inclined distance, this distance. By we want this distance, so this sine theta I can write down y star by this 2y by 3. Sorry. So this sine theta will be equal to y star by this is 2y by 3. Okay. So this y star, the center of pressure will be equal to, this is 2y by 3 into the sine theta. So 2y by 3 is how much? This is 4 by 3 sine theta into this sine theta. So sine theta, this is 4 by 3. Mean this also the force will act at a distance of 4 by 3 from the free surface. Means these two force cannot generate any moment about this point P, because the lever arm is same of this force. These two forces cannot generate any moment. Okay, so these two forces cannot generate any moment. So this is the F1 force and this is the F2 force. Okay, this is F2, this is F1, and suppose this is my F3 and this is my F4. So these two forces cannot, because these forces are acting at the same distance. These forces are acting at a distance of 4 by 3 meter. Okay. Now if you find out the forces, these F3 and F4, and these forces act at the center of the shaded area. Okay. These forces also act at the center of the shaded area. So what is this distance? So this distance is of this force is lever arm is 1 meter, and this force lever arm is how much? This will be equal to x by 3 meter. Now if you find out the moment about this point P will be equal to 0. Okay. So what is this? F3 into this perpendicular distance 1 minus the anti-clockwise moment F4 into this x by 3, and the self weight of this body, the object is acting in this on this axis. There will be no lever arm, so this will be equal to self weight of the body into the 0. Okay. Now what is F3? F3 is the weight of this one in shaded one. So this rectangular part, what is the weight of the fluid contained in the rectangular part? So now you can find out this is the density of the water into G into the volume of water contained in the rectangular part. So I can write down this is area into the width perpendicular to the board, that is I am assuming this is W. Okay, similarly F4 will be equal to the weight of water contained in the triangular part. So that is density of the water into G into this area of the triangular part, and the width which perpendicular to this board into this is x by 3 will be equal to 0. Okay. So now if you write down this equation again, writing the equation again. So this MP will be equal to 0. So will be equal to density of the water into G into this area of the rectangular portion. Suppose this is 1 and suppose this is 2. Okay. So this is the force. Okay, this is the force I am talking about. So this is F2 and this is F3. And this is actually centered of this shaded area. So this is 1 meter. And this is also centered of this triangular. This is x by 3 meter. So area into this is width minus this is raw water G, area of this triangular, this is area of the first one, this area of the second, and the width is perpendicular to the board, the same will be equal to weight of the body into the 0. It is that there is no lever arm because the weight is acting at this one downward. So now so you can see the area of the rectangular one is how much? This is rho g gone. So this is 2 into 2, width also gone, minus this is this rho g width, rho g width gone. So this is minus A2 is how much? This is half into this is x by 3 will be equal to 0. So x will be equal to half into x, so x into x by 3. So another x, because area equal triangle is how much? Half into base into height. Okay, so half into x. So I can write down this one is. So I can write down this one is. This is 2 into 2 minus 1 by 2 into this area is 2 into x into this is x by 3 will be equal to 0. So if you put this is 2 and 2 gone. Okay, so this is coming out to be x square will be equal to 12. Okay, so this x is coming out to be 2 root 3 meter. So x coming out to be 2 root 3 meter. This is the answer. It's very interesting question. Now the three rigid pockets are identical height. Let us say identical height and identical base area. Further assume that each of the bucket having negligible mass, this negligible mass is there, and are full of water. The weight of water in this bucket are generated by W1, W2, W3, and also the force of water on the base of the bucket are F1, F2, F3. So we have to find out the relationship. First of all, as we know, the pressure will be equal to a function of height only. Okay, so at the base, the force will be equal to pressure into area. Okay, and if you write down this one, the rho g h into a. So height is not changing, area is not changing. So force in all the bucket will be same. So all the bucket it will be same. So these are the probable answers C and D. Okay. Now you see this is the rectangular part. This is the rectangular part in which some water has been added. Okay. So weight of this bucket 2 will be definitely greater than weight of the bucket 1. And this is the area from which some water has been discarded. Okay, this is the area some water will be discarded. Okay, this is the area from water will be discarded. This rectangular area some water will be taken out. So this W2 will be greater than this W1 and greater than this W3. The W3. So this is the of correct answer. D is the correct answer. Now, one of the following statement is true with regard to the body that float or are submerged. So for floating body, we know that for floating body. So for floating body, actually for floating body, you have to see the position of the meta center and the center of gravity. Okay, but for submerged body, okay, we have to see the position of the center of buoyancy and the center of gravity. Okay, so you see first option you read. For a body wholly submerged in a liquid, the stability is ensured in the center of buoyancy. If you see this body is completely submerged, suppose the center of buoyancy this one and center of gravity this one. This is the center of buoyancy. So center of buoyancy what will happen? This is the force of buoyancy will act and center of the weight will act downward. And suppose this is the destabilizing force is acting in this moment. So this buoyancy force and this one it will create a anti-clockwise moment, or this is one a restoring moment. The destructing moment, disturbing moment will be creating this one, and there's a restoring moment will be created as long as the buoyancy point is greater than the center of gravity. What is saying? This is stable case. This is stable equilibrium case when the body is submerged. So in the stability is ensured if the center of buoyancy is below. Center of buoyancy is below. No, it is not correct. That is not correct. For a body floating in a liquid, the stability is ensured if the center of buoyancy is below. We are not talking floating means you have to talk about the meta center and center of gravity. So this is not correct. For a body floating in a liquid, the stability is ensured if the center of buoyancy is below the center of gravity. Floating body, we are in the floating body. We are not talking about the buoyancy. We are talking about the meta center. It is not correct. So for a body floating in a liquid, the stability ensures if the center of buoyancy is below the center of gravity and the meta center is above the center of gravity. So whenever the meta center is greater than this center of gravity, this is a case of stable equilibrium case. This is a stable equilibrium case. The body will be stable. When the meta center will lie below the center of gravity, then that is called unstable equilibrium case. The body will unstable. So now in which of the following arrangement would the vertical force on the cylinder due to water will be maximum? So the vertical cylinder means the buoyancy force. Buoyancy force will be equal to density of the liquid and how much volume has been submerged inside the water. How much volume is submerged inside the water into G. Okay. Now you see the first option. So in this first option, how much has been submerged inside the water? So this is the part which is submerged inside the water. Okay. So this is the part which is submerged inside the water. And this is the part which is not submerged inside the water. Okay. So this will give a buoyancy force. Suppose this one is F1. Okay, this is F1. Now you see in this case, this is the part which is submerged inside the water. So this is the part is not submerged inside the water. So this is the buoyancy force F2. Now you see in this case also, this is the part which is submerged inside the water. So this is also suppose F3. Now you see the option D. This is the part which is completely submerged inside the water. So here the volume of submerged in this case V2 will be equal to this V3, and this volume of submerged will be equal to this the last option is, suppose V4 is greater than everything. Okay, if the volume of submergence will be more, so the force of buoyancy will be directly proportional to the volume of submergence. So if the volume of submergence will be more, then the buoyancy force will be more. If that the body will be completely submerged, the buoyancy force will be more. Okay, that is I am saying. So this is the correct answer. This is the correct answer. The center of pressure of a liquid of a plane surface immersed in a vertical in a static fluid always lies below. Means it's saying, suppose this is my one vertical plate. So this is my free surface. Okay, this is my free surface and this is the centroid. Centroid, and this is suppose the center of pressure. So this centroid, suppose this is at a distance of, this is y bar, and the center of pressure, suppose this one is located, this is yCp. Okay, and it is saying this yCp is always greater than y bar. Why? Because we know that relationship between the yCp will be equal to, this is y bar plus this ice center moment of inertia about center of gravity divided the area of cross section, and the part of which is which is actually submerged inside the fluid, or which is exposed to the fluid, into this y bar. Okay, so this is the case. But why it is happening? Because the hydrostatic pressure distribution is linear. So as the hydrostatic pressure is linear, the centroid of the pressure distribution curve is also called the center of pressure. So if centroid, if you find out, it is always located below the centroid of the planar surface. Okay, so as long as this pressure distribution will be linear, then only the center of pressure will be greater than the centroid of the planar surface. So this is the correct. The liquid pressure is increasing linearly with respect to depth. So this is the rho g h. So this height is h. So this is the pressure distribution curve, hydrostatic pressure distribution curve. So next question I am talking about. So in ice core, 15% of the volume is project above the sea. So this is the ice core. Suppose this is ice core. In this ice core, what will happen? The 15% is above the sea. How much? 85% above the sea. This is sea interface. Okay, and the specific weight of the sea is given to you. How much? This is given to you. This is 10.5 kilonewton per meter cube. And it is finding of what is the specific weight of this ice core. Okay, so if you want to use the one shortcut formula, you can use, but concept wise if you go, so the net buoyancy force will be equal to weight of the ice core. Okay, so buoyancy force will be how can I write down? The buoyancy force of the this one, the buoyancy force aggregated by this one. So this will be, I can write down density of the this sea water, okay, into how much volume has been submerged of the ice, how much part of the ice has been submerged inside the sea water, into G will be equal to density of the ice into this volume of the ice into this one will be G. Okay, now density of the sea water into G, because specific weight will be equal to rho into G. So specific weight of rho equal to G. So I can write down the density of the sea water into G will be equal to specific of the sea water into how much volume has been submerged? The 0.85% of the ice. Will be G cancelled. So I can write the density of the G has been written. So this one is the density of the ice into G is a specific weight of the ice into this is the volume of the ice. So this V is called the specific weight of the ice will be equal to 0.85 into density of the earth. This is 10.5. This is coming out to be 8.925 kilonewton per meter cube. 8.925. So this is the 8.93. Now this is for a body which is completely submerged in liquid. Center of gravity, center of buoyancy are known. The body is considered to be stable equilibrium if, okay, means the body is completely submerged. The body is completely submerged means suppose this is my axis of the body, and suppose this is my point of buoyancy, and this is my center of gravity. If the buoyancy force is acting upward, the buoyancy force will be acting upward direction, and the weight will be acting downward direction. Suppose this is the disturbing moment acting in this direction, then this buoyancy force and this one, it will create a moment. Okay, this will create a moment about this perpendicular distance. If you project this one, this is the perpendicular distance. Okay, this is the lever arm. So it will create a restoring moment. So as long as this point center of buoyancy is greater than the center of gravity, the body is under stable equilibrium condition. So when the B is less than T, the body will become unstable equilibrium. Okay, when this B will be equal to G, then that is called neutral equilibrium. Neutral equilibrium. So this buoyancy is represented by O. So the body is in stable equilibrium when this O is greater than G. When O is lies above G. So O is like above G. In static fluid, the pressure at a point is equal to, so in static fluid, suppose the fluid is there, so this is the static fluid. So the pressure, suppose you consider a fluid element, suppose this fluid element, if you consider the fluid element, so pressure in all direction will be same. So the pressure in all direction will be same. So suppose this is Px, this is Pz, and this is Py. So this Px will be equal to this is Py will be equal to Pz when the fluid will be in rest condition. When the fluid will be in absolutely rest condition, then I can say the pressure at point will be equal in all direction. So in static fluid, what will happen? The pressure is equal in all direction when the shear stress in between the fluid layer will be 0. So this is the case of Pascal's law. So this is Pascal's law. Okay. So now the reading of a differential manometer. Okay, this is saying the reading of a differential manometer of venturimeter placed at 45 degree to the horizontal is 11 cm. If the venturimeter is turned horizontal position, the manometer reading will be high. So if the venturimeter will be like this in horizontal at a 45 degree. Okay. So at a 45 degree the venturimeter will be like this. Okay, so suppose this is 45 degree. And what will happen? So a manometer is connected at this one. A manometer is connected. So at this one. Okay. So a manometer, whatever the deflection you are getting. Okay, whatever the deflection you are getting, this HM. Okay, if you turn into the horizontal direction. So if you turn into the horizontal direction, the deflection will not depends upon the orientation of the venturimeter. So this HM is independent of the orientation of venturimeter. In the venturimeter, if you rotate the venturimeter at any angle, the deflection will be remains constant. It will not change. So it will 11 centimeter also it will remain. Okay, this is 11 centimeter. So thank you for all. Today I completed the flow through pipes and the gate related question related to the buoyancy and pressure measurement. In next class, I will solve all the gate numericals based upon the fluid kinematics and flow through pipes. Okay, thank you.